All voices are welcome here, and all points of view can be represented when the holder of that point of view shows up to debate. And to her credit, Laura Loomer, a conservative investigative journalist, a supporter of Donald Trump, a supporter of Israel, who is in Jerusalem, has agreed to join us this evening. We missed her last night. You're welcome tonight, Laura. Hello, Laura.
Hi, George. Thanks for having me.
Not at all. Now, first of all, what is the current situation in Jerusalem and in the West Bank? This is, of course, the day that Palestinians call the Nakba Day. So if yesterday was portentous enough, today is also historically significant. Are things still tricky out there?
In Jerusalem, things are fine. Things are pretty calm. I do know today that in Bethlehem, there were many protests. Some of them turned a bit violent, and there was some burning of tires. And I could see the smoke actually from my hotel in Jerusalem. And then in the Judea-Samaria region near the Gaza Strip, and in Gaza, there were protests as well. But in Jerusalem, within the Arab quarter, I do know that the Arab business owners in protest did not open their shops today, and so the Arab quarter was empty out of protest.
Now, Bethlehem, where Jesus was born, of course, is a very holy place in the Christian world. It is under occupation, military occupation, and it has risen up today, as you say. It's not far from where you are, but it's pretty difficult to get from one place to another. Jesus would have recognized or at least Mary and Joseph would have recognized the difficulties in finding space between Jerusalem and Bethlehem.
Yeah, I mean, what is your question?
My question, I suppose, was, do you see any significance, and do you think others will, in the fact that Bethlehem is tonight under siege?
No, I don't think that there's significance to that at all. I think that Bethlehem, has really, quite frankly, been taken over by Arabs, and it is, the environment in Bethlehem creates a very hostile situation for Jews and Christians who would want to reside there. So when you say it's under siege, are you suggesting that it's under siege by Israelis? Are you suggesting that it's under siege by Arabs? Because the people who are perpetuating the violence and protesting and burning things and creating an unsafe and polluted environment for other people living there are the Muslims themselves.
Can I just run that past everyone again? It's pretty much been taken over by Arabs. Is that what you actually said? Did you mean to say that?
Yes. I mean, if you go to Bethlehem, it's a predominantly Arab Muslim area now. I mean, I don't think that is really disputable by any means whatsoever.
Well, are you confusing the two terms, Arab and Muslim? Because, of course, the majority of people in Bethlehem are Arab Christians.
I'm talking about Muslims.
Yeah, but you 3 times said, I could play it back to you, that it's been mostly taken over by Arabs. But of course, there's only Arabs.
Are Arabs not Muslims?
You didn't say Muslim. You said Arabs.
There are Arab Christians.
The majority
are Arab Christians there as well.
Laura, the majority of people in Bethlehem are Arab Christians. Didn't you know that?
No, that's not true.
Well, that's news. There I've given you some. I've given you some important news. I just wanted to test out how much you actually know about the territory that you're opining about, and I think most people will have concluded not perhaps as much as you ought. But let me ask you on the bigger question of yesterday. I wanted to ask you it last night. Israel says it showed restraint when it only shot 2,771 people and 60 dead people. Is that what restraint sounds like to you?
No, it sounds like they're doing a really great job securing their borders and neutralizing terrorist invaders who are trying to break international law and cross over to another country and,
when you say
violate,
another country, which country are they in?
The respective borders.
Laura, when you say another
talking
country,
about Israel. I'm talking.
yeah,
I'm
but
talking about
which
Israel.
country were the
And
people?
George, I think George, you need to understand that these are not just innocent people, and you know this. You yourself are a supporter of Hamas. In 2009, you traveled to Gaza and you delivered bags full of cash to Hamas terrorists, and you stood and you declared your support for Hamas, a terrorist organization. So, I feel like you're being very dishonest right now with me and your audience when you sit here and you tell me that these 58 people who died were innocent people. They're terrorists.
Okay,
all right, they're being paid by Hamas.
Let's get
being paid by Hamas. George.
Let's get one or two of the falsehoods out of the way. I am not now, nor have I ever been, a supporter of Hamas. In fact, I have always been an opponent of Hamas. I was a comrade
George,
of Yahya. I'm going to shut you up until I've answered your falsehood. I'm going to shut you up. I'm going to shut you up until I've answered your falsehood. I am not now, nor have I ever been, a supporter of Hamas. I am an Arafatist. If you've heard of Arafat, he was an Arab. Arafat was my friend. I have never been with Hamas. I have always been with the line of Arafat. Now, let's talk about the 9-month-old terrorist, the little baby that was buried just a couple of hours ago. Let's talk about the human rights chief.
Who brings a child?
She was in a tent, actually. She was in a tent. She was in a tent, actually. She was gassed, Laura. Do you understand the significance of that word?
Well,
she was gassed.
It sounds like really bad parenting. All right, I would not bring my child. I would not bring my child.
She was in a tent, Laura.
Protest.
She was in a tent.
No.
How many times do I have to say that?
No.
She was not on a riot. She was not on a demonstration. It's not bad parenting. She was gassed in her tent.
What were her parents doing?
She was gassed with her mother and her mother's sisters in a tent. You see this evil. You see this evil that you spout.
Why does Hamas, the organization that you were seen delivering bags full of cash to, use women and children as human shields to incite outrage on behalf of the international community?
I wanted to ask you about the human shields point, because you tweeted yesterday that Hamas paid money to Gaza parents to allow them to use their children as human shields. Do you stand by that?
Yes, 100%. It's true. And it's not even just parents. They pay a lot of people. They pay disabled people. There's actual video footage of people using crutches, pretending to be disabled so that reporters could catch them on camera. I'd be happy to send you the footage if you'd like to see it. People pretending to have disabilities so that they would incite outrage. Hamas, like I said, the organization that you delivered bags full of cash to, literally sent
I have never delivered a penny to Hamas. Not a penny. Not a penny. Look, I know that you've been briefed by your hosts there, but these are just lies that you're telling. Now let's go back to the disabled. We're not here to talk about me, Laura. We're not here to talk about me, Laura. We're here to talk about what's happening. Laura, we're here to talk about what's happening in Gaza. Well, let's talk about the two men with no legs. Let's talk about the two men with no legs that were killed. Were they pretending to be disabled? Did they cut their own? Did they cut their own legs off, Laura?
No, they probably did not cut their own legs off. But you have to ask yourself.
They probably did not cut their own legs off.
You're in a wheelchair and you're amputated.
They probably didn't cut their own legs off. You just said it. You just said, no, they probably didn't cut their own legs off. Were they pretending to be disabled?
They probably did not.
So the people in Gaza by your account, are so desperate that they take money to send their children out to be killed as human shields. That's your case, is it?
Yes, because Hamas, the organization that you delivered bags full of cash to in 2009, and it's on video, creates a situation of desperation for these people. And Hamas is basically ruling over Gaza, and they've created a situation, a terror state, really, in which the people, in order to get resources and get basic, living accommodations, have to buy into Hamas's terrorist agenda. And so what I want to know is, if you are so against this and you're so against these human rights violations, why did you travel to Gaza in 2009 and deliver bags full of
first
cash
of all, Laura,
to
you're
support
not
Hamas,
interviewing
the
me.
organization?
Laura, you're not interviewing me. I'm interviewing you.
I'll ask you whatever I want to ask you, George.
And Laura, please, let's conduct this with some semblance of civility.
It is.
You're not interviewing me.
George,
I'm interviewing you. This interview
George,
isn't about me and your lies about me. This interview is about what happened yesterday. So can we stick to that subject, please?
For all of your viewers listening,
my viewers are not listening. My listeners are listening. My viewers are not listening. My listeners are listening. Yeah. I want to ask you, because you said something. You said they wanted to cross over. Laura, Laura, this is a bit of a waste of time if you don't listen to what I'm asking you, because clearly you can't answer
George,
it.
you asked me to come on, and you don't want to admit the truth of what I'm saying. So let's be fair here.
I asked you to come on. So I could ask you questions. It's normal in journalism.
Okay, then ask me
for
the
one
question,
person. Well, I want to ask you a question of some importance. You said earlier that these demonstrators.
Okay, then ask me. What's your question?
These demonstrators, you said, were trying to cross into somebody else's country. Which country were they in, the demonstrators?
Well, Palestine is not a country, so
which country were they in?
I know that's what you're trying to get me to say.
Which country were they in then? If Palestine isn't a country, which country were they in?
Well, they're in Israel, but they're crossing over.
So they're in Israel.
They're crossing over the border, the militarized border.
Well, we've cleared that up.
We've
cleared that up. Why is there a border between two groups of people who are in Israel?
Because they're terrorists and they don't want to live civilly.
You can't have a border inside a country, but both sides of the border are in the same country. I think we just leave that silence.
Look, George,
hanging,
hello, can you hear me?
Yes,
what I'm saying
it's a simple question.
They are terrorists, right?
It's simple. No, it's a simple question.
What?
How can there be a border dividing a piece of land, both sides of which are in the same country?
Well, answer your own question. Isn't that what you're advocating for?
People don't normally answer their own question. It's usually the person being asked the question that answers it. So, do you have an answer?
This is Israel, all right? And what I'm telling you is that there is a border fence that separates the Palestinian people
but it isn't
from
a border
the rest
fence,
of civilized
then.
Israel,
but
because they are terrorists. They are terrorists being led basically ruled by Hamas.
But it isn't. It isn't a border, according to you, because on both sides of it, it's Israel. So what is it then?
They were given Gaza.
So what is it then?
They were given Gaza. Gaza is theirs. Okay.
What country is it?
It's
what country? I ask you again. Then they were given Gaza.
It's Gaza.
Which country? Gaza isn't a country.
It's Gaza.
Gaza isn't a country.
Gaza. It's Israel.
So we've established that again. We've established again that on both sides of this fence is Israel. So if it's not a border, because it's plain English language, Laura. You can't have a border. You can't have a border inside a single country. So, would it be fair to say
it's Gaza? It's separating Gaza. It's separating Gaza and Israel.
Yeah, but you said Gaza is Israel.
There's a border. You misunderstood what I was saying.
No, everyone understood it only too well, Laura. You said that Palestine isn't a country, Gaza isn't a country, so how can it be?
They gave them Gaza. They gave them Gaza. So
they gave who Gaza? They gave who? Who did they give Gaza? And how could they have given them Gaza if Gaza is still Israel?
I didn't say that.
Really? Well, let me move on. The truth is, isn't it, as the British conservative, like you, a conservative, Prime Minister David Cameron said, that Gaza is nothing other than an open-air prison camp. Isn't that right?
No, it's more like an open-air terrorist camp.
There are 2 million terrorists in Gaza, are there?
Well, look, I mean, these are people who have decided, right? They are not challenging Hamas. And, I mean, is Hamas a terrorist organization? Let me ask you. Do you think that Hamas
I'm
is
asking
a terrorist
the questions here. I'm asking you if these 2
million...
million...
We're going to have a conversation about this.
It's an interview, Laura. It's an interview that you freely agreed to. Now, I asked you, and you're avoiding the question.
Hamas a terrorist organization?
Are the 2 million Palestinians living in Gaza, which, as you say, is in Israel, are they terrorists?
Not all of them, no, because there are some Christians there as well. They're not all terrorists. No,
I think I'm gonna leave that I'm gonna leave that in neon, Laura, as your final words, in flashing neon. No, not all of them, because there are some Christians there. I think that speaks just as many volumes of Laura Loomer.